no one is perfect, and you gotta step out and do it with fear. And you've got to decide on your own when you're going to take action. A little story about me. So I'm talking about, like, why is it so many times in life that we look at each other and um, we feel that you got to be perfect. You've got to be perfect to do something big or to do something better. That's one of the biggest misconceptions in life, is that we kind of trap ourselves because we believe that that person that's up there that is I don't know, a great speaker, or already a supervisor in the at your job or whatnot. You see them as this perfect person, like they were born into this. And the reality of it is no one was born into that position. There were things that they had to learn, things they had to grow through. One of the biggest things that hold us back as a society is that we all act as if we're perfect, when in reality, the reality of it is where none of us are perfect. And it's so hard to. So you have some people who act as though they're perfect, and they think that they're perfect. They try to show this persona as them being perfect, when in reality they aren't. And you have the other part of people who see these other people who think, man, they just seem so perfect, but they know in themselves all the things that they've done wrong. I'm here to tell you today that everyone has done something wrong, no matter who you are, what level of success you may have gained. And the biggest thing to know about yourself is that although you may have done something wrong in the past, it doesn't mean that that is your destiny. It doesn't mean that that is actually who you are, right? Who you are is who you choose to be today and how you choose to live tomorrow. Our past, no one can go back and change their past. Our past is our past. But the big thing to realize, and I want to share something with you all that I don't share much. I was talking with my sister one day, and she asked me a question, and she said, well, who are you? Because you really don't ever talk about yourself that much. And I thought about it. I was like, yeah, that's kind of true. I like to help other people. I like to hear other people and what challenges they're going through, so I could help them, get past those challenges. But one thing I noticed, that I've been listening to different videos, different public speakers and things like that, and transformational coaches and things. And one of the biggest things I learned, and when I started looking at things, is that when we are most vulnerable, when we actually share our shortcomings in life, when we share our failures and our insecurities, that really grows us. That allows for other people to know that they're not the only one. Even though I am a representative of my job, although I'm doing those things, there's a lot of insecurities that I had to jump over to actually take that position, and to actually do it. And I think so many times the opportunities present themselves for us, but in many cases we're not ready, or we just think we're not ready. And that's the biggest part, is getting your mind wrapped around being ready. And what does ready look like? And sometimes in life, you're just never really ready until you do it. And as you start to take that first step, you'll get more confidence. You'll get more wisdom and knowledge towards whatever you're trying to do, which will help you to continue into that process. But the big thing is that you have to realize that no one is perfect, and you gotta step out and do it with fear. I mean, that's the only way for change to come. Everyone wants change, but no one wants to change. Everyone, they have this thing of how they want things to be, but they never look at what they can do to change themselves, to change the environment. You see, our lives and what we do, and how we view others, and how we view society, and our jobs and things of that nature, really has a lot to do with who we see when we look in the mirror. Who do you see when you look in the mirror? What do you see when you look in the mirror? So many times we look at other people and we want to blame other people for this, and blame them for not getting that promotion, or blame them for not having a good life, and shortcoming ourselves. You see, when we start blaming other people, we take a victim approach to life. And when you're a true victim, when people victimize themselves, they don't realize that they actually have control and power to make choices to change how their life actually goes. You see, you can bring all the resources to a person, but if they have the victim mindset and they don't realize and believe that they can actually change, that their situation can change, they're going to be stuck where they are. They're going to be stuck. And sometimes it takes repetitiveness of actually hearing things that are positive and having someone to kind of help encourage you. But they can only do external, right? People can show you information, they can give you information, they can tell you, but you've got to internalize those things, and you've got to decide on your own when you're going to take action. A little story about me. I remember when I got my first job when I'll tell you this, and this is one of the examples of doing things even though you're scared, when you think about it. I was in high school. I was a freshman in high school. I actually scratched that. Before that, I was in middle school, but I was in 8th grade, and one of the stores I used to love to go to, just loved the gadgets and all these electronics and things like that, was Radio Shack. I just thought it was the most amazing store to go to. I had remote control cars and all kinds of just like electronic gadgets back in the day. That was like the place to be. It wasn't a place that I actually went to very often, but went there a few times as a kid. I remember one time in the hometown that I'm from, they moved. The Radio Shack was moved to a different location, had new owners or whatnot. But anyways, while I was in 8th grade, there was a kid in my class who worked at Radio Shack. I'm like, wow, that is like so cool. Like, how did he do that? Like, I never asked him or anything. Later on, I found out that his dad was actually the owner of Radio Shack, so that was a big reasoning behind why he actually worked there. But anyway, so when I got into 9th grade, the Radio Shack, like I said, it was sold to new owners. So the kid in my class, his dad didn't own it anymore, and someone else owned it, and we didn't know who owned it. And my dad and I went in there one day after school, and we walked in, and lo and behold, it was someone we knew that actually owned the restaurant. Owned the Radio Shack. And so we were talking, hadn't seen her in quite some time. And when I talked with her, and it was in November, it was around about November 1st, and she said, "Hey, you want a job?" And I was kind of like, sure. Like, how? I'm 14. She walked me through the steps. She said, you're 14, you go to your guidance counselor, tell him you need a work permit. You can work, we're hiring people for the Christmas season. Christmas is about to start or whatnot. Big shopping season. I'm like, oh my gosh, okay. And she said, all right, well, I need you to come to orientation on this such and such date. And that's how I got my first job. I walked in and she gave me out, but I was terrified. I'll tell you this. It might seem like super exciting. I thought about working at Radio Shack. I wanted to work at Radio Shack. It's like a dream come true. But when I got the reality of, wow, working at Radio Shack, she told me what I was going to be doing. I'd be selling electronics. And then I'm like, well, I don't have to like work the cash register, do I? I'll be ringing up customers. They're going to teach me how to do that. And I was like, oh my God, no, I can't do that. Why? Because I was living in the fear of my parent, of my mom. And that's okay. There's no knock on my mom or anything like that. But she'd always, I know growing up, she would always tell, say things about that she didn't want to work a register, and she wanted to be responsible for money and things of that nature. And so I was just so terrified about working the register. Anyway, so I started working there, loved it. I worked there for about 6 to 7 years, and all through high school. When I came back, my college breaks, and I'd help out during Christmas season, that type of thing. But it took stepping out of the box, right, to where you can actually do it. And I want to ask you this question. Whose fear are you living out? Whose fear are you living? Are you showing? It could be something that you've heard. It could be something that you've experienced in the past. It could be a fear that someone else in your family is scared that you will take this new job and maybe get good and have to move away from them or something of that nature. Whose fear are you living in? You've got to step past that. You've got to step past that and live your own self. Life keeps going on. Life keeps going. And the thing about life is that your life, if you live your life day to day without making any choices in your life, you just go with the flow, that's going to be the type of life that you live. It's a go with the flow kind of life mentality. But when you actually harness things and try to change Take advantage of opportunities that come your way. Look for opportunities, right? Try to, be that one that actually makes a difference in the lives of others. That's when it's important. That's when life is super, super important. When you can actually step out there, make a change, make a difference in someone's life, and help someone else out. But that comes by stepping past your fears. And a last note that I'll leave you on is this. There's probably something right now in your spirit, in your heart, in your mind that you've thought about doing that would help someone else out. The biggest thing about life is we've got to accept each other for who we are. And we've got to encourage each and every person to be better. It could be someone that's below you. It could also be someone that is already above you. When I say above and below, it doesn't mean that they're greater than you. It just means that they're in a different level. It could be someone in your job that has a higher status or a higher position, a title. Doesn't mean they're specifically better than you. But they need encouragement too, and it can come from you, someone that's lower. And especially if there's someone that's raising up through maybe trying to do something that you've done, you've got knowledge, no matter how old you are and whatever you're doing, you've got knowledge to share to someone else. If you're living and breathing and you can talk, even before you can talk, you can bring inspiration to someone else and help someone else out through the actions and the words that you say and the things that you do. But remember, share your life with other people. Be vulnerable, right? There's many days that my self-esteem is kind of low, and I'll be honest with you. But I put on my uniform and I go to work and I put on my smile and I do my thing, and it works out, and that's where my confidence grows each and every time you go out and do it, right? Public speaking, oh my goodness, terrified to think of it. I remember when I was a kid, teachers used to write letters home to my mom and saying, hey, he needs to talk. I was like, mute. I didn't want to say anything. I was in class, I was listening, and the funny thing is, many people thought, because I was quiet, I paid attention, I was respectful, that I was a straight A student. It wasn't. I'm here to tell it wasn't. Did enough to get by. Some classes I got an A, some classes I got a C, maybe got a D in some classes. But the reality of it is, it's your total circumference. I remember that some people who were in class, and this is your kind of your belief systems on what you do about life and money and all kinds of different things. Really, it's about changing the story that we tell ourselves about money, changing the stories that we tell ourselves, about who we see when we look in the mirror. So the other thing to think about is this thing here. I remember when I was in school, and my story that I would tell myself is I was okay being average. Because I realized that all the straight A students were pressured by their parents. They were freaked out when they got anything lower than the A, and they cheated in class because I saw it happen all the time. And my morals and ethics, I wasn't about to go cheating on a test to get a better grade. And so I saw that in order to get an A, you had to cheat, be stressed out. And that looked like something that I didn't want to do. That was my story. That was the story that I told myself. And now I know that really you don't have to be that way. To cheat, to get an A and all these things. You can study hard, you can read. Back in the day, let me tell you, I dreaded reading. I couldn't stand it. I mean, look back now, the teacher's like, all right, I need you to read these 5 pages by Friday. Here it is Monday, right? 5 pages, holy moly. No, thank you, right? History books and all this stuff. But I tell you what, now, it's the greatest joy. One of the greatest joys in life is reading. Because it's a different story that I tell myself. When I read a book, I gain wisdom, I gain knowledge. And I can share that knowledge and that wisdom with other people. The greatest thing about reading is you see it. And when I read, I like to speak out what I'm reading. So I'm reading it, I see it through my eyes, process it that way, but then I speak it, so I take some action as I'm actually doing it, external action, and then also I hear it. So I see it, I see it, I speak it, I hear it, I be it, right? There's no sense in gaining all wisdom and knowledge. Wisdom and knowledge, my friends, going to college and getting all these big degrees means nothing at all if you're not going to turn around and use that wisdom and knowledge, that education, those experiences to help other people. And I'll tell you this, one of the greatest things in life, to actually help someone change, to help someone be inspired or transformed to live a better life is a story. And you have a story that no one else has. Your story is your story to use to help someone else. And no one else can make that story. No one else can be your story but you. 2 takeaways. Be vulnerable, share your story. Be vulnerable, share your story. Watch people thrive because of your living. No matter where you live, how low you may feel, people can thrive over the stories that you share with them. Take care.